Good morning from European Chisinau, from European Moldova. I'm here back again in this beautiful European country which Emmanuel Macron wants to reject. Yesterday was the European Day and he had nothing better to do than to make a big speech, which is the right of the French president to do. But in his big speech for the Conference of Future of Europe, European Day, the war in Ukraine, he also invented something completely new. And by the way, look how beautiful this country is. It's a very European country. But it's very bad news for Moldova because Mr. Macron has made a statement that he is very much against Moldova, Ukraine and Georgia in the European Union. But he made the offer to invent a new European unification process. Nothing less than that. He just has slept a bit bad and he decided to make a new offer. Look, it's very nice. I will show you as well a little bit how beautiful this place is and how amazing. And then Mr. Macron, he decided to make a very beautiful activity. That means he promotes a new kind of unification process. That means that he is saying we can do a kind of a different union just because he doesn't like the enlargement process. He has proposed also some reform processes, but you know, it's a typical way that French diplomats and politicians, they do it when they don't like something. They invent something completely different. They change the subject in order not to have reforms, in order not to have enlargement. But he invents a new political union. That's basically the idea. I will show you a little bit how beautiful it is. But unfortunately, according to the French, Moldova, Ukraine and Georgia cannot be in the political union, but in a new kind of union, which he is inventing right now, just for the purpose, because it's like this. Because he's the French president, he can do that, and he can, of course, entertain us with such ideas. And he has no hesitations to do that during his 9th of May moment, where we are in war with Russia, where we have this terrible war going on. But Mr. Macron invents a new European Union. By the way, maybe it has come to the attention in Strasbourg, there's an institution, it's called the Council of Europe. It's already there, long time. And there, actually, we have now kicked out the Russians finally. So we could, for example, upgrade that organization, fund it better, use it more fully, and have a kind of European Council of Europe, which is worth the name, with a lot of competent people. They could very easily be very much more active. I think that would be quite logically in my way. By the way, it's very beautiful here. A lot of new buildings. Chisinau is actually improving significantly and it's actually a very nice city, yeah? Very European, but not for the French. Somebody who is in politics and history might remember that the whole independence of these so-called Danube principalities is very much connected with the French foreign policy of the 19th century, but that's another thing. We don't want to bother too much with facts, yeah, for Mr. Paris, Mr. Macron. Nevertheless, he has his appeasement policy now to the maximum, but as he now in the war cannot really implement it so successfully, he has this new kind of confusing thing. So a new political union. Look, I'm also advocating that we have to have a multi-sector speed Europe where we integrate in various aspects. Yeah? So I'm absolutely in favor of, for example, what I say since a long time, let's integrate Ukraine, Moldova in the Eurozone. Very good, but that really we don't need to invent because as everybody knows, we have the European Union and we have the currency, we have the internal market. You can join the internal market, yes, very good. The energy union, we can join also have the same currency, the customs union. Yeah, we can also integrate them parallel in the EFTA agreement or in the European agreement. I'm not against any of that. Yeah, that's all rational and possible to do. But I would like to understand why we need something different from the Council of Europe and from the European Union and these already existing integration processes of EFTA, CEFTA and the European agreements with the so-called EEA. that we all have, and Gerald Knaus is correct in that one. We can integrate them, but not as an alternative to the political European Union. That would be confusing, and that's also very unfair, because just Mr. Macron doesn't like to have anybody else voting and deciding, because it's all about this one. It's very much about the decision-making power inside the European Union, and he doesn't want that. And then he decides not to allow these countries into the European Union. But isn't that entirely wrong? Isn't that entirely wrong? I think yes. I mean, because this is European country. You can of course say they need to fulfill all the things. You know, we have also a process in Romania and Bulgaria that's called CFM. You can have some supervised or assisted membership. That's all possible, and that makes a lot of sense in my view as well. So for example, assisted membership, very good. I call it guerrilla membership. You know, there is, well, you know, this guerrilla accession, you might remember I made this joke already. The thing is, you can do various aspects of integration in steps. That makes, in my view, a lot of sense. That is actually here where I am. This is a very nice area. Lot of villas, lot of nice places. It's really very beautiful here. It's not poor in a sense. I don't have any impression of poverty here. In this, it's of course the villa area. That's of course logical as well. But here it's actually very advanced and very beautiful. It's a wonderful spring day here, the European day. The people drive like in Albania, good. It very much reminds me to Albania and Macedonia here when I'm walking through this, especially Macedonia. This is absolutely Vodno. It's actually richer than Vodno, to my feeling here. Very good villas, a lot of really nice places. I will maybe cross over here now. It's a bit muddy. I will actually take this turn here and show you here this park. That's also, I think, very good. But let me continue with my little rant for Macron. So Macron proposes something new. I'm absolutely, you know, anytime, any form of integration, economic integration, I'm very much in favor. I never was against what Gerald is proposing on European Economic Area. I'm very much for the Euro, for the customs union, for everything. This is all perfectly fine. It's absolutely perfectly fine. Absolutely, that's 100%. And we can do that, but not to exclude the countries permanently. Everything which is like with the intention to permanently exclude the countries, it's utterly unfair. Why should anybody agree? You can then come to this new political instrument which Macron is proposing, and then you somehow have no chance to be in the European Union ever. I mean, how unfair is that? And where's the justification for such a policy in any terms? I can seriously not understand that. And it's the outrage for me, and that's why I'm angry. We have just kicked out the Russians from the Council of Europe. So the logic would be, let's be very clear that we reform the Council of Europe, make it stronger, relocate it to Gdansk. I made the proposal already. And then have more budget. There are competent teams there, they have staff, they know what they're doing. We could wonderfully inform and reform that institution. And it makes a lot of sense. Here actually it's very beautiful. And then we have this broader Europe in the Council of Europe existing since a long time, I think 47. And then we have the European Union as political union and NATO as defense union. We have all these institutions. Then we can have various aspects, you know, maybe starting with EEA for the integration, or with EFTA. I call for CEFTA since 5 years, and with the Euro. That is all very meaningful, and the opening of the sectorial integration, which was promised since 2017 from the European Union at the Eastern Partnership. That's all absolutely possible. But as a new political union, that would be a major mistake. And that is something completely wrong. And I totally protest against Mr. Macrons, and he will actually just lead us into disaster and defeat. And I hope that we will not follow this confusing way forward, but we will really enlarge Europe. And we will of course have various speeds. We will have of course to have overcome all the issues, and I will talk about all of them, from corruption to institutional mechanism and economic integration. But that's why we have the EU, the enlargement process. And maybe it takes more than 7 years, but I never said Ukraine can join EU tomorrow. I say 2029, and that's absolutely possible, because the enlargement process is mainly an institutional regulatory reform process, and the rest can be there and takes time. But Ukraine is doing this reform process since 2014, and they are prepared. They can, like Poland, within 15 years join the political union. That's absolutely true. And of course it needs to pacify the situation, but we have already Cyprus as a divided country, so division is no obstacle to integration. And if we allow Russia basically to attack countries in order to block their future, then we allow Russia to win. And if you want Russia to win, then you're on the other side, and you're certainly not on my podcast side. So let's do reasonable things, and let's get Ukraine as EU37 in the European Union. Enough this morning rant, more to come. And please, Macron, big minus, okay? Bye.